One signature took everything: his home, his memories, and his trust in love. That is the tragedy of Louis Bennett, a 70-year-old man who thought he had found late-in-life love only to discover it was a false promise. The house he built with his late wife, the wealth he accumulated over a lifetime, vanished into the hands of a woman he believed was his destiny. But in the darkness of betrayal, Louis found light, not from a new romance, but from the unwavering flame of family. Have you ever wondered what happens when love turns to pain? Or how to protect your heart, or the heart of an aging loved one, from sweet but dangerous promises? Louis's story is not just a warning, it is a journey from loss to forgiveness, from regret to rediscovering strength. Stay with us to learn how Louis rose again with the love of his daughters and the valuable lessons that can help you avoid his mistakes. If this story touches you, leave the number 1 in the comments. Let us know you are still here, still resilient. Like this video, share it with those you care about, and subscribe to the Elderly Advice channel to explore more heartfelt stories like this. Step into Louis's journey, where tears have turned to hope under the glow of family love. Louis Bennett stood by the window in his suburban Philadelphia home, his frail hands gripping the worn curtain. The sunset bathed the distant wheat fields in gold, but his eyes, clouded by age, saw only an endless void. At 70, with silver hair and a slightly stooped frame, Louis carried the air of a man who had lived with pride, a military officer who led men through the smoke of war, a devoted husband, a loving father. But now his battlefield was no longer combat. It was the cold silence of days without. Margaret, his wife of 42 years, 10 years ago, Margaret passed away from lung cancer. Their home, once filled with the laughter of their 2 daughters, Anna and Claire, became a museum of faded memories. Family photos hung on the walls, the scent of ginger cookies lingered in the kitchen, and Margaret's lullabies echoed in the quiet nights, all still there, but like shadows of the past. Each evening, Louis sat on the wooden bench on the porch, a cold coffee in hand, listening to the wind rustle through the old oak trees. Loneliness was not the absence of voices. It was a chill wind slipping through the cracks of his heart, whispering that the world had forgotten him. "Dad, are you okay, Anna?" his eldest daughter asked over the phone one autumn afternoon, her voice warm but tinged with worry. "I am fine, sweetheart," Louis replied, forcing a smile. She could not see. "I just planted some roses in the garden. Your mom would have loved them." "Dad, if you want, Claire and I could stay with you for a while." Anna hesitated, as if afraid to touch his grief. "No need." Louis said, his voice firm, but his heart aching. "I do not want to burden you. You have your own families, live well, and I am happy." He did not want to be a burden. To Louis, a father lifted his children up, not pulled them into his sorrow. But as he hung up, silence enveloped him, sharp as a blade. He looked at the garden where the roses wilted under the fading sun, and wondered if his life still held any purpose. One winter evening, as snow fell heavily, Louis's world tilted. While making tea in the kitchen, the kettle slipped from his hands, shattering on the tile floor. He collapsed, his heart racing, his breath ragged. In that moment, he did not fear death, but the thought of passing alone with no hand to hold his. An ambulance rushed him to the hospital, and in the sterile white room, Louis stared at the ceiling, tears silently falling. "Just one person," he whispered to himself, "one person to share the days I have left." After recovering, Louis opened his heart. He joined a local seniors group where older folks gathered to share stories of the past. There he met Susan, a 65-year-old woman with a radiant smile and a voice as gentle as a stream. Susan listened as he spoke of his military days, fishing trips with Anna and Claire, and his longing for Margaret. She made him feel seen, valued. "Louis, you tell stories so well," Susan said, her eyes sparkling in the dim light of a group meeting. "I have never met anyone who holds memories so beautifully." "They are just old tales," Louis chuckled, but his heart stirred as if catching a glimpse of light. "What about you, Susan? What makes you smile every day?" "Oh, just little things," she replied, tilting her head, her smile soft. "A hot cup of tea, a quiet morning, and maybe someone to share them with." Susan's morning texts. "Louis, have you had your coffee? Do not forget your coat. It is cold today," became rays of light in his gloomy days. Late night calls where she shared stories of her dreamy youth made Louis feel young again. Maybe he thought, fate has given me another chance. After 6 months, Susan suggested moving in together. "We are not young anymore," she said, holding his hand in the small kitchen, her eyes persuasive. "Why wait? Let me take care of you, Louis." He hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing his mind, but her gentle gaze made him nod. "All right, Susan, let us make these days beautiful together." They married in a simple ceremony at the local church under the pale spring sunlight. Louis in his old suit felt his heart beat like it did in his 20s. Anna and Claire, though uneasy about the speed of the relationship, attended, offering strained smiles. "Dad, are you sure?" Claire asked, pulling Louis aside after the ceremony, her eyes filled with concern. "Do not worry." Louis patted her shoulder, trying to sound confident. "Susan is good to me. I do not want to be alone anymore." "But Dad, it is all so fast," Anna added, her voice trembling. "Do you really know her, girls?" "I have lived long enough to know what I want," Louis said, but deep down a spark of doubt lingered. The first few months, Louis's home came alive again. Susan cooked fragrant dinners, tended the rose garden, and sat with him by the fireplace, listening to old jazz records. Her laughter filled the kitchen, and Louis felt his heart warm, as if winter had passed. But then, like cold drafts through a cracked door, signs of trouble emerged. "Louis, I think we should manage our finances together," Susan said one evening, as they sat at the dining table, candlelight flickering between them. "I am good with numbers. You will not have to worry." "I have always handled my own money," Louis replied, frowning, a sense of unease rising. "Oh, darling, we are married now." Susan smiled, resting her hand on his, her voice sweet but sharp. "Trust me, it will be easier," Louis agreed, thinking it was a way to build trust. But soon, he noticed Susan had moved their joint savings into an account he could not access for safety, she said, but her eyes were cold, lacking the warmth he once saw. Worse, Susan began interfering with Louis's bond with his grandchildren. One afternoon, as he planned to take them to the park, Susan frowned, her voice cutting like a knife. "Louis, the kids are too loud," she said. "I have a headache. Stay home. Take them another time." "But they are only here for the weekend," Louis protested, his heart aching at the thought of their eager faces. "You want me to feel better, do you not?" Susan replied, turning away, leaving Louis with guilt and helplessness. Video calls with Anna and Claire grew rare. Susan often interrupted, sharing her own stories, or claiming the phone tired her out. Louis felt trapped in his own home, the walls once filled with memories now closing in. He tried talking to Susan, but she brushed him off, calling him too sensitive. He stayed quiet, telling himself it was just a phase, but his heart knew something was breaking. The breaking point came one winter morning, as snow blanketed the yard. Susan entered the living room, where Louis was reading the paper, and placed a stack of documents before him, her eyes cold as ice. "Louis, we need to talk," she said, her voice sweet but calculated. "This house is too big, too hard to maintain. I found a smaller apartment much more practical, but this is my home, mine and Margaret's, Sui," replied his voice, shaking hands gripping the newspaper. "I do not want to sell it." "Darling, think of the future." Susan leaned in, locking eyes with him as if cornering him. "The money from the sale could help my grandson start a business. It is an investment for both of us." "Your grandson?" Louis repeated, his heart stopping. "Susan, this house is all I have. It is my daughter's memories. Margaret's, you are clinging to the past." Susan snapped, her voice rising sharp as a blade. "If you love me, you will sign. Or do you want me to leave you alone?" Her words stabbed Louis's heart. He looked around the room, the family photos on the walls, the armchair where Margaret once sat, the fireplace where he told stories to Anna and Claire. This house was not just a place, it was the soul of his family, the thread tying him to the past. But fear of loneliness, fear of losing, Susan made his hand tremble as he signed the deed. As the ink dried, he felt a part of his heart wither. 3 months later, everything collapsed. Susan left, taking the money from the house sale. Louis was forced out of his home, renting a small apartment in the suburbs, where the bare walls held no memories. Anna and Claire, learning the truth, called him, their voices choked with tears. "Dad, why did you not tell us?" Anna cried, her voice a mix of pain and anger. "Why did you let her do this? I thought I could handle it," Louis said, tears streaming down his face, his voice breaking. "I am sorry, girls. I have made a mess of everything." "You do not need to be sorry," Claire said, her voice trembling but full of love. "But Dad, we lost Mom now, the house. Do you know how much this hurts us?" Louis sat in his rented apartment, a dim yellow light casting shadows on his face, Where wrinkles seemed deeper after months of regret, the room was sparse. A single bed, an old wooden table, and a few family photos he salvaged from the old house. Through the window he watched snowflakes fall, each one a reminder of what he had lost, the house memories and a piece of his dignity. At night, he dreamed of Margaret standing under the oak tree in their old yard, her eyes sad but gentle. "Louis," she whispered, "find what truly matters." He woke with tears, his heart heavy with loneliness and self-blame. But dear friend, even in the deepest darkness, there are sparks waiting to be found. One winter afternoon, as Louis sat by the window, a cold coffee in hand, the doorbell rang. Surprised visitors were rare since he moved. He opened the door to find Anna and Claire, their coats dusted with snow, their eyes filled with worry but glowing with warmth like a fire in the cold. Anna rushed forward, hugging him tightly. Her voice choked. "We are sorry. We did not come sooner. Anna, Claire." Louis whispered, his trembling hands embracing his daughters, tears falling silently. "Why are you here? I have messed everything up." "No, Dad," Claire said, gripping his hand, her eyes glistening. "We do not blame you. We just want you to know we are here and we need you." They sat at the small wooden table, the lamp's light warming their faces, as if banishing the winter chill. Anna pulled a small box from her bag, revealing an old family photo. Louis, Margaret, Anna, and Claire, beaming during a summer picnic. "We found this in the old stuff," Anna said, placing the photo in Louis's hand, her voice gentle but firm. "The house may be gone, but family is not. Dad, we do not need the house to remember Mom or to love you, but I let you down." Louis bowed his head, his voice faltering, as if every regret weighed on him. "I lost everything, your mother's legacy." "Dad," Claire interrupted, holding his hand tighter, her eyes full of love. "Mom's legacy is not the house. It is love, the way she taught us to cherish family. And you are still here with us. That is what matters." Louis looked into his daughter's eyes, his heart warming after a long winter. Anna and Claire did not judge or blame. Instead, they offered a gift more precious than any possession: understanding and love. "We want you to move closer to us," Anna said, smiling, her eyes bright as spring sunshine. "Not to take care of you, but to be with you. The grandkids miss you. They need your stories about the army, about Mom, about everything." "And I found a chess club nearby," Claire added, her eyes playful, like when she was a child. "You have got to teach me how to beat your buddies." Louis laughed the first time in months, the smile reaching his eyes like sunlight through clouds. "Are you sure I am old? I will just be a bother, Dad," Anna said, her voice serious but warm. "Family is never a bother. We need you, and you need us. That is what family means." The next week, Louis moved to a small house near Anna's. It was not grand, but it was filled with the laughter of his grandchildren, the smell of Anna's ginger cookies on weekends, and evenings with the family gathered, listening to Louis' stories. He rejoined a chess club, finding joy in games and new friends. Each morning he tended a small garden, planting roses, imagining Margaret smiling from somewhere, her eyes no longer sad but full of love. The old house memories of Susan and regrets faded like snow melting under a spring sun. Louis realized that though he lost much, he still had what mattered most: his daughter's love and the strength to keep living. In his heart, Margaret remained, not to judge, but to remind him that family is a flame that never dies, a light guiding him through the darkest days. But dear friend, Louis's story is not just a tragedy that found light. It is a reminder that mistakes, however painful, can lead to profound lessons. To understand why someone like Louis fell into such a mistake, and how we can protect our hearts, let us look deeper into the wounds he carried and the lessons we can learn from them. Louis's mistake is not just one man's story. It is a reality many older adults face when remarrying without enough preparation. Hasty decisions in later years can leave deep scars, not just financially, but emotionally and within families. Louis's journey from a proud father to a man drowned in regret mirrors what can happen when fear of loneliness overshadows reason. 1. Loss of possessions. Louis's house, built with Margaret through a lifetime of effort, was gone in months. For older adults, possessions are more than money. They are security, a legacy for children, a source of pride from a life's work. When Louis signed the deed, he did not just lose a house, he lost part of himself. Memories of Margaret, family moments by the fireplace, Many older adults like Louis face similar losses when they trust the wrong person, watching what they cherish most slip away, leaving a void nothing can fill. 2. Loss of dignity. Louis was once a respected officer, a devoted father, a loving husband. But when Susan's betrayal spread through the community, he felt eyes shift. Some pitied him. Others whispered he was foolish for being deceived. Shame made Louis withdraw, skipping the chess club, avoiding church, volunteering. For older adults, dignity is a core part of identity, and losing it can make them feel worthless, like a tree uprooted. 3. Loss of family connection. Anna and Claire Lewis's greatest joy were hurt when he drifted away because of Susan. When the truth came out, they grieved not just the house, but the feeling that their father chose someone else over family. Though their love for Louis never faded, the bond cracked like a mirror, needing time to mend. For many older adults, family is the last anchor, and a misguided marriage can shake that foundation, leaving them in deeper loneliness. 4. Emotional wounds. Regret is a sharp knife cutting deep into Louis's soul. He blamed himself for ignoring his instincts, for letting fear of loneliness cloud his judgment. At night in his rented apartment, he wondered if he deserved his losses. Such emotional wounds do not heal easily, especially in old age when the strength to rise feels gone. Many older adults slip into depression, losing faith in themselves and life after such mistakes, as if their inner light has dimmed. These wounds are not Louis alone. They are the silent stories of many older adults who hoped for love, but wandered into false promises. But to truly learn from his story, we must understand why a strong man like Louis fell into this tragedy. In old age, our minds grow fragile, shaped by deep fears and desires we cannot always control. Louis's journey is a window into the hidden corners of the human heart, where loneliness and hope intertwine, guiding us to choices that can hurt one. Fear of loneliness. After his health scare, Louis faced death closer than ever. The fear of dying alone drove him to crave a companion. Susan's initial care filled that void, making him mistake attention for love. In later years, loneliness is not just a feeling, it is a looming shadow, tempting us to grasp any outstretched hand, even if it leads to a cliff. 2. Misreading love. Older adults, despite their experience, can fall for sweet words. Susan knew how to make Louis feel valued with caring texts and gentle stories, but it was not love. It was manipulation masked by warmth. The ability to distinguish genuine care from exploitation can weaken with age, especially when a heart hungers for connection, like a wilted flower seeking sunlight. 3. Diminished risk assessment with age. Our critical thinking and risk evaluation can fade. Louis, once a decisive officer, lost his sharpness. He ignored warning signs, Susan's secrecy about her finances, her efforts to isolate him from family. He trusted without questioning, partly because he wanted to believe he had found happiness, partly because he feared the truth. 4. Social pressure and expectations. Society often implies that living alone in old age is a failure. Louis felt pressure to prove he could still love, still build a new family. This pushed him to rush, not taking time to know Susan before committing. Like a weary traveler, he stopped at what seemed a safe harbor, not seeing it was a mirage. But dear friend, understanding these reasons does not just help us empathize with Louis. It lights the way to protect our own hearts. From his wounds, we can draw valuable lessons, not only to avoid similar mistakes, but to rediscover the strength within, as Louis did when he returned to his family. Louis's story is both a warning and a beacon of hope for those at the crossroads of late-life love. The lessons from his journey do not just protect us, they remind us that at any age we can choose our path, finding light in the dark. Here are the insights drawn from Louis's pain and renewal. 1. Trust your instincts and family. Your instincts, though softened by age, are a faithful guide. If a relationship feels uneasy, pause and question. Louis ignored his discomfort when Susan took control of finances, leading to tragedy. Share with your children or close friends. They are not here to judge, but to protect you. Anna and Claire tried to warn Louis, but he did not listen. Do not let family become outsiders in your story. They are the fire that warms you even when you are lost. 2. Guard your possessions like yourself. Possessions are not just money. They are your independence, your legacy, your safety in old age. Before remarrying, clarify finances. Who pays for what? Are assets kept separate? Consider a prenuptial agreement to protect what you have built. If someone objects or calls you calculating. That is a red flag. Louis lost his home by not setting boundaries, but you can avoid that by prioritizing your security as you do your heart. 3. Do not let love cloud reason. Love, in old age, can be as beautiful as a late-blooming flower, but it needs time to prove itself. Do not rush commitments even if loneliness urges you forward. Take time to know someone. How do they treat your family? Do they respect your past? Louis, let Susan's early care blind him, but you can choose differently. Let love grow naturally, like a sapling, needing sun and rain, not forced to bloom in a storm. 4. Learn to forgive yourself. Mistakes do not define you. They are lessons etched into your journey. Louis was consumed by regret, but Anna and Claire's forgiveness helped him forgive himself. If you have trusted the wrong person or faced loss, do not let self-blame cage you. Embrace your wounds as part of who you are, and let compassion heal your heart. You deserve peace like a bird finding the sky after a storm. 5. Love yourself before loving another. The greatest love comes not from a partner, but from within. Louis rediscovered joy in simple things, playing with his grandkids, listening to jazz, planting roses. Spend time with yourself. Read a book, walk in the park, or sip tea and smile at your reflection. When you love yourself, loneliness loses its power, and you will choose someone worthy to walk beside you. As Louis learned, family love and self-respect are flames that never die, guiding you through any darkness. Louis Bennett's story is not a singular tragedy. It reflects the quiet struggles of countless older adults, people who were once strong, who sacrificed for family but fell before something seemingly small, the fear of being left alone. Louis lost so much: his home, his dignity, his bond with his daughters, because of one signature in a moment of loneliness. But what is precious is not that he erred, but that he faced his mistake, stood up and returned to what truly matters: family, forgiveness, and genuine love. In later years, we do not have many chances to start over, but we can always choose to listen, choose caution, and above all, choose to love ourselves enough not to trade what is precious for a fleeting promise. Louis did not just find his daughters, he found himself the father, husband, and resilient man he thought he had lost. So, if you are at the crossroads of old age, remember, your heart still deserves love, but do not let it lead blindly. Let reason and those who truly care for you light the way. Never fear walking alone. For if you hold on to your dignity and clarity, you will always find a hand that wants to hold yours. Not for possessions, not for status, but for who you are. And if this story moves, you do not keep it to yourself. Share it with those you love, somewhere out there. Another Louis may need a loving reminder like this.